And yeah, so I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for today. Victoria Temme was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and graduated from the University of Texas at Tyler with a bachelor's in English and has minors in psychology and education. Some of Victoria's previous experiences include camp ministry and working as a kindergarten teacher. And she has been with CASA for Kids of East Texas as a case supervisor for the past 9 months and has been working as a team coordinator. And we love having you here.
Thank you. I enjoy being here.
Well, good. So you intend working with teenagers for the foreseeable future and like spending time with your 2 dogs, Roxy and Sammy. Awesome. So let me get started here. I will go ahead and share this and we can get started.
So kindergartners really weren't my forte, so I switched to high-risk teenagers instead. Kind of the same thing, not really. So we're going to be talking about how to be in their corner. So I can see my advocates who also are on Zoom that I know have teenagers, high risk at that. And high risk, I mean, not necessarily bad kids. I don't believe any of my kids are necessarily bad. They may make bad choices, but it takes a lot to be a bad kid. And really just how to be in their corner in this really hard time in their life, because we all know that the system's not the greatest at raising kids.
Okay, starting off. Sorry. It's, you know, they say 2 screens are better than 1, but.
There it goes. Yay. So what does it mean to advocate for teenagers? It's not that much different from advocating for all kids, but with teenagers, they come with a little bit of spice, a little bit of attitude, and I know that a lot of my advocates bring it right back. So personally for me, I have a tattoo. I got it about a month after I started working here. That is for all of my foster kids. And part of it means like I have lilies for the innocents. None of them asked to be neglected, abused, and none of them asked to be in the system. But they are a rose for the new life that they get with the system. So they get the tuition waiver, especially for those that age out. They get a lot of benefits. A compass to follow them wherever they go. We all go to. We never leave them. We're that one consistent person in their life. And also until they are heard. We're not going to stop until every single one of them are heard, because we all know that teenagers have a voice. They have a big one. They're just not being heard. Everybody puts it to the side and is like, they don't know what they're talking about. But they do. It's their life. They know what they want. And we just have to listen to them. Here are my wonderful advocates. I could not do it without them. They bring me so much joy and hope, but also I'm able to talk to them and ask them for advice that whenever I don't know the avenue, just like with them, they're able to ask me like, how am I supposed to go forward? How am I supposed to help this teenager? And I just couldn't do it without any of them. They help me so much. And I know that everyone else, y'all help your supervisors just like they help you. Icebreakers. So as you see, I have an icebreaker that I bring with every single one of my teenagers. Every single one I bring. And it's just, whether it's, now I do have teenagers like, I don't want to play Jenga. That does not sound fun. So 20 questions, and that's where not only do they get to know you, but you get to know them, but it's a fun way. So I'd like 2 volunteers. Keely. Jane.
You want me to come up there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all volunteering.
As long as it doesn't cost money.
Oops.
So
Oh, too soon.
I'm gonna do it with each of y'all. So I guess you're gonna have to stand up at the same time.
That's okay.
Whichever one of y'all want to go first and get something from that. Each of them have a question. Each block has a question on both sides.
Oh, okay. Can we pick one down here or
Yeah.
it has to be on the top?
No, it's where you pick it from.
Wherever I want to pick it from?
Yeah,
Okay.
just make sure the tower doesn't fall.
Okay.
And then you read it.
Early bird or night owl?
So are you an early bird? Do you wake up in the morning? Or do you stay up really, really late?
I wake up in the morning and I go to bed really, really early.
Okay, so then you put it back on one of the top ones.
Yep. I play this game with my grandkids.
And then I would pick one. Favorite music. And this one, you get to learn their favorite music. So typically, you know the vibe of the kid starting off. And let's say I said, my favorite music is rap. They'd be like, I like country. And then that's kind of like a debate. You go back and forth, but then you just say, well, we all have our own opinions.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Well, what do you like most about yourself? I was hoping there was another option. I like my sense of humor.
Okay. And then the other person would say theirs, like,
Hard. It's harder.
It is hard.
That's a
It
hard
is
one.
hard.
That's a hard one.
but there's always different answers and it's never the same because every child is different. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was recently playing this with a kid who's gone through it. And I'll talk about him more into the slides, but he pulled this out and he accused me of cheating on this game several times because he's like, the tower keeps falling. And I was like, well, have steady hands. But it's what is one of your most favorite memories? And he told me, I don't have any. He's 17 years old, doesn't have a single memory that he likes because of what his mom did to him. And then you have to think about the transition. Like, how do you transition from something like that? And you have to be quick because they'll catch you. They'll catch you on what you're gonna say. They'll catch your facial expression. And I said, well, what about now? What about with your foster mom? Or like, what about with your friends right now? Or what about with football? And he was like, oh, he's like, yeah, every moment now is great because I'm not living with my mom. And that hurts, but it's also so beneficial to see somebody from such a rough place to such a great place. I really recommend icebreakers. It doesn't have to be something like this, but it just lets them get to open up more. And you just get to see such a big part of their personality, whether they're competitive or not. And then if they're competitive or not, run with it. Sometimes physically. The unfolding of a teenager. So teenagers are like onions. They have many, many layers. They have more layers than an actual onion, as we all know. But it's because there's years and years of protecting themselves, especially with those teenagers. They think that they always have to keep everyone far away from them. There's a hula hoop around them. They don't want anybody in that hula hoop. So icebreakers, like what we just played, music and movies, like what's your favorite movie? And then why is it your favorite movie? Being open with them, that's a big one. That's how I gain a lot of trust. So when they see that you're open with them, they're gonna be open with you. Not all the time. Another thing I think for an icebreaker is don't immediately go up to them and be like, what's your story? Because they have told their story to so many CPS workers, so many attorneys. They've told their story to so many people. Do not be like the rest. Be different. Building trust, being open with them again, letting them ask you questions. And it's different with every single teenager. I have a lot of them. It's so different with every single one. Showing up. So I'm going to bring up that boy again. The one with your favorite memories. He doesn't have a single person that he can rely on except for CASA and CPS. And showing up to games, like football games. So he told me, he was like, Miss Victoria, he just made varsity football as a freshman in a rough school district. And he was like, I don't have anyone in that crowd. I don't have a lot of friends. Like all my friends are on the football field. He's like, when my friends look up, they see their family, they see extended family. I don't have anyone. So I made a priority to go see him, watch his football game, see him win. And I made sure that he knew that I was there, because that's going to be that building that trust. That's going to be that icebreaker that he's going to be like, maybe I can break off a little bit of that hula hoop. Showing up to choir concerts, band performances, so UIL. I know one of my advocates went to go see UIL. Art galleries, or just picking up the phone. And we know that teenagers, they have a phone, they're gonna call their CASA. It's one of the most favorite things in the world is, oh, I gotta go call my CASA. And that's really, really special to see. Relationship, becoming that consistent person who's either their bestie or family, because they don't have that. And they get to have that through you. And they unfold. They will open up to you in their own timing, whether that be a year from now, 2 years, but just seeing you show up constantly is what's going to make them unfold. All human behavior has a reason, and all behavior is solving a problem. We all know kids have behaviors, especially traumatized kids. It's how it is. And I don't really consider a problem. It's not a problem that they have it. We just need to find what's causing it and how can we turn it around? How can we put them on the right path, the lighter path instead of the darker path? Behaviors, it's all connected. Trauma is the biggest one of them all. It's the key, in all honesty. So the biggest source of all behaviors, especially in a CPS kid, being removed, it's trauma. What else is a trauma?
Change in caseworkers.
Changing placements. I had one just moved to his 10th placement and he got removed in May.
Mhm. Mine has had six placements in 6 years.
Yeah.
And 7 caseworkers.
Mm-hmm.
New schools.
New schools,
Yeah.
making new friends. It's hard saying goodbye to your old friends.
Mhm.
Or not having a chance to say goodbye.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of the time they don't have a chance.
They just wonder, like, where are they? Nobody told them.
Mhm. Losing their possessions every time they move too.
And or carrying their possessions in the trash bag.
Mine have suitcases.
Yeah.
I made sure.
Yeah. Because it's actually true and it's actually happening. It's not just in movies and it's not just in stories. These are actually our kids. No proper mechanisms. I was going to say coping mechanisms, but mechanisms is the right word. They've never been taught on how to manage their emotions or problems because their parents may have taught them the only way to fight is through your fist. The only way to fight is to run. And those are typically the fighters or the runners that they don't know how to manage. They don't know how they can get out unless it's through fighting. And those are typically the kids that end up in RTCs, which is Residential Treatment Center. They want to escape reality, typically the drug users, so substance abuse. Honestly, sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is one of the big, Tyler is one of the biggest sex trafficking places in the state because we have the Four Corners, which is Gentry and 323, where all those hotels are. And all of our kids are like, oh, it's never going to happen to me, especially the boys, Like, oh, that's not going to happen. I'm like, well, boys can be sex trafficked too. They don't understand. They don't understand why this is happening to them. They don't know how to cope with why it's happening to them. Like, why were my parents bad? Or like, why did I get pulled into the system? And I wish I could answer every single one of their questions, but I can't. I'm only human. And I have to remind that of my kids, like, I can't do everything. But just being that consistent person and saying, and being there, even when their behaviors act out, being that person that stands firm and is like, well, I'm still here. I'm not going to leave you. When you have 7 CPS workers, I'm not going to leave you. That's what's going to change them. Not really change them as a person, but change their behaviors and from being really bad to somewhat good. And then maybe, if we're lucky, pretty good. Does anybody else have no proper mechanisms? Why do those kids have, why do they also trauma?
Well, I think just starting with a defense mechanism keeps them from learning, growing, developing, maturing. Defense mechanism is a wall that shuts out good information as well as bad.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really good. And it's actually really true.
And so many have, by the time they get into the system, they have raised themselves. And, you know, they only know what they can know because they have just managed survival.
They have that strong survival and not the let somebody take care of me.
And they don't trust anybody, and teenagers are not trusting anyhow, but these kids are really tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Amy says they've been let down and disappointed and rejected by adults for so long, they do not trust.
Right. Yeah. And so then whenever you come up and you're an adult, what do you think they think? I don't want anything
You're
to do
not
with
going to
it.
stick around.
They're not going to stick around. They
I
don't
had
want
one tell me, talking about his caseworker, she don't see me. She thinks I don't have feelings.
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure they know we see them.
Yeah. Attention. They don't get attention from anyone. So they act out to see if someone will react, if someone will show up. Typically CASAs do. Typically CASAs are like, what were you thinking? They're like, I see what you did. I had that conversation with one of my kids in June. And I was like, what on earth? What made you do that? And he was like, I was just bored. And I was like, you didn't want to read a book? No, they don't want to. Well, now they have to because there's nothing to do there. Being away from family and the holidays kind of tie in, but being away from family is the whole ring around. Away from their siblings,
That's the hardest part is their siblings.
because they were raised with them. Can you imagine?
They don't cry for their parents, mine don't, but they cry for their siblings.
They were raised with them. They were raised to protect them.
It's a lot of parentification with siblings. And so sometimes when older kids are separated from their younger siblings, they think their actual kids have been taken away from them. So it's more than a sibling. It's they're so worried about their child they've been taken care of for so many years.
The holidays. So I had a kid tell me No one does Thanksgiving like my family. And on Monday, I had the same conversation. No one does Christmas like my family. Proceeded to tell me what their traditions were. And I was like, well, if we weren't in juvenile right now, I would be telling you, like, let's go do something. Let's go try to do something that reminds you of your family. And that's something that we should try to do is, yes, they might not be with their family. They may be hours away, states away. But if we try to bring something in, then maybe they won't lash out and maybe they won't feel alone. Any questions?
I think some of them don't have any holiday memories though.
Yeah.
It's like, they don't really,
Yeah.
Or the ones they have are bad.
yeah.
In a lot of cases, the stress of the holidays in the adults in their life has brought out the bad side of them. So they don't want to have holidays.
That's when you should bring good holiday memories to them. Call them on Christmas and be like, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. It only takes a 5-minute phone call to change their day. And that's with anything, with their birthday, just saying happy birthday. I sent you a book. Something like that, just to make them know that somebody cares, even if it's just a letter. And you send it to them and say, this is the memory that I have from you, like whenever I first met you, and like these are the great memories that we've had now, and I cherish you, I care about you. You're an amazing kid, keep doing what you're doing. Are the behaviors of a 6-year-old the same as a 16-year-old?
Well, sometimes.
I was actually gonna say, yes,
Sometimes.
they are the same. They're the same behaviors. They just weren't addressed when they were 6. And 16-year-olds can be more destructive. 16-year-olds can tackle somebody to the ground. 16-year-olds can throw a TV against somebody's head. That's the difference. I think it's the same behaviors, but they were never taught that coping mechanism of, well, like, why can't I act this way, but my 6-year-old brother can, or my 14-year-old brother can. Like, there's always that. And they will compare it. They'll be like, well, they did it. So like, why can't I do it?
They don't have to be in foster care to feel that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Teenagers in a biological home feel that
Yeah.
way.
that is true. Any comments?
I have a 13-year-old who is just now starting to play with dolls because she never had the chance when she was a kid. So she's almost reverting back now that she's in a stable place where her little siblings are being taken care of. She's finally getting to be a kid.
So I would like to know, because my 17-year-old CASA asked for a baby doll. And I did not want to give it to her because I don't want her, this is my reaction. I don't know if it's right. I'm asking, is it right that I didn't want to give into that nurturing of a baby at her age when she's going to age out? So how would you handle it?
That's hard. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
And there's always time to explain it to her, for one.
Yeah.
So this is why I didn't. Also talk with her and say, well, why do you want it? Maybe she wants to be a mother towards it. And that could bring out some trauma from her that she needs to face. It really is just your, like,
Yeah.
whether you're going to or whether you're not going to, that's really a personal connection that you have with the child. That is, does she want to be a kid again? And does she want to use it like a play toy, or does she want to be like a mother to it, like she never got?
So maybe it's like a stuffed animal,
Yeah.
you know, like a security thing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
What would it be like if classes said they didn't care anymore? I give up. I don't want to do this. This kid is too much. It would be devastating. It would be devastating. You've been that one person throughout their whole life that if they do something bad and they think Oh, my CASA is for sure gonna leave me. I have no one cares about me. And you still show up and they're like, wow, you're my family. They would lose that. And that would hurt so much. That would be trauma. That's just adding another thing to trauma. It's another loss.
Well, I can say that in my short time, when times have been tough, I pretty much just thought, I don't have to be her parent. I don't have to make the decisions for her. All I have to do is be there when she calls and be her friend.
Yeah.
And then I take a deep breath and I can do that.
Exactly.
I can do this portion of her life.
Yeah. And we need affirmations like that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
We need that constant affirmation of like, I am making a change. Yes, I may not see it in every day, but like I told you about your child, like I told you about her dream and how I've seen the transition just by talking to her for 5 minutes. And I was like, wow, I'm like, that was all Margie.
Aw,
And
thank you.
education on break. So we're coming up on a break, but it's not that long of a break. I'm thinking summer break, where it's 3 months long, and we have educational advocacy. So shopping, let's not do the no budget thing. Let's give them a budget. Let's give them a $20 gift card to Walmart. And you take them shopping. Let's say to buy like soup for a week, and teach them how to buy beans and meat and something to do a meal, because in that transition period, yes, they have PAL, but they have PAL for little bit. But if you get to teach them how to buy a meal, make a meal, and then while the meal is like being made, you play a game. You get 3 education things back to back. So that's going to be math. Shopping's going to be math. It's going to be with taxes. How much is this meal going to be? How long will this meal last you? Baking. So you've been cooking. Measurements. You got to measure it. Otherwise, not going to be good. Been there, done that. Spices. Is it going to be too salty? Is it going to be not enough broth? And then games. Do a game that like this is even educational advocacy, because they're reading. You're seeing, can they read a sentence? If they can't, let's work on that. Monopoly is in fact education. They're dealing with money, fake money. They're dealing with cards. They're rolling a dice, see how much they can move. So building something like that, be creative with it. And those are also building really core memories to where they'll be able to look back on that once they are 30 years old and be like, my CASA taught me how to make soup. And yes, we have kids that are in RTCs or group homes. Jail is a little harder. Jail, you can't really bring anything in with you, but that's when you rely on the jail for information. But with RTCs, some RTCs do have kitchens, and you can be like, well, I really want to use it, can I? Or take them out, go to McDonald's, hand them a $20 gift card to that McDonald's, and be like, you have 2 meals, you can only have 2 meals, one for me, one for you. How much is this meal going to be? How much are you going to have left on that gift card? Nah. Also reading the menu. And then do a game while you're sitting at the table waiting for it, or do a game while you're eating. It's really just not that hard. Just be creative, and it'll be really core memories. I took a 15-year-old to Walmart, and this was back in the summer, and he's like, I really just need some shoes. He's like, I don't have any shoes. And the shoes that he was wearing, probably about 2 sizes small for him, and they were hanging off. And whenever we got to the self-checkout, I don't know how to use a gift card. I don't know how to swipe a card. Because PAL and CPS, they don't teach them that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying it's up to us, but we should be that bridge for them, just to make it life a little bit easier once they turn 18. Because once they turn 18, if they're not in extended care, they don't have anyone. I mean, besides CASA. Statistics, these are really sad. Just gonna put it out there, they're super sad. So 65% of youth that age out instantly become homeless the day they turn 18. This year in 2022, 1,200 youth age out.
I'm sorry, what is the 1,200? Texas?
Texas.
Okay.
Texas youth. And that's really sad. That's 800, 900 kids aging out that will become instantly homeless or go back to their perpetrators. But sometimes that's not even an option. Nearly half of the youth who age out of foster care in the United States will become homeless, will go back to their perpetrator, or become incarcerated at some point in their life. But that's it. That's like worst case scenario. I can't even imagine that for any of these kids. But it's reality. 70% of the youth in foster care say they want to go to college. 96.5% of kids in foster care will never get a degree. Only 1.5% will get a certificate. 0.5 will receive their associates. 1.5 will attain their bachelor's. So I have many kids that want to go to college, even trade school. I have one that wants to be a neurosurgeon. So that's medical school. She blew me away when she told me that. But I don't think they have that someone to keep pushing them. And if they do, they want nothing to do with them. But you remind me of foster care. So how can we, as CASA, not remind them of the system? How can we be that person that keeps following them throughout life? It's a question to think about.
You just have to have some kind of routine. So once a month you give them a call, or still have him, I guess. He's in his 20s now, but I got him when he was in first grade.
Wow.
And I had him for 12 and a half years. And at the end of the 12 and a half years, I continued to be in touch with him. And he went on to college and made a big success of himself. And this was a child that, when he first came into the system, had tested that he had an IQ of 65, I believe. And when he graduated from high school, he was one of only a few hundred students in the whole United States who made a 1,600 on their SATs.
Wow.
They start them out in special ed almost consistently, but once they've been in the system, I had a teacher tell me that mine, who I got in third grade, was at a level like a preschool, and he got up to fourth grade level in 1 year. He was just like a little sponge. You know, when they've been to 6 schools in a year, and they can't learn, and of course they're going to test low on an IQ test. It's not even fair.
Yeah.
So, but most of them are a whole lot brighter than anybody in the system thinks they are.
This quote really stood out to me. So 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, the kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of the child. They don't care what car we drive. They shouldn't know what house we live in, but they don't care. As long as you show up for them, they're like, what time is it, Victoria? Where you been? Well, been back in Tyler. Or honestly, you may have the kid that may cure cancer. You might have the next NFL star. All of these kids have so much potential. And they have the system against them, but CASA is for them. CASA is the one that's going to be like, well, I believe in you. I'm here for you. How are teenagers and toddlers similar?
They should be stubborn.
Developmental change.
You give them food and they're happy. They do their little happy dance in their seat.
And the TV even
Taco
better.
Bell.
Candy and a
Yeah.
remote control and.
Talkies,
Mhm.
big thing.
Oh my gosh, Takis, that's a request.
Can you bring me some Talkies and some Gatorade? And it's like,
Yeah,
sure.
I had a blue Gatorade in my little ice chest that I carry with me, and when he opened it to put the leftovers in from our lunch, he said, "Oh, that's my favorite, can I have that?" So now every time I go, I have to take a blue Gatorade.
Yeah. And
Okay,
it's
I know
just,
this is not relevant, but where's a good place to get different flavored Takis?
Walmart.
Okay. Thank you.
They have the green ones, the blue ones, the
Okay.
red ones.
I didn't even know there was so many.
I got the wrong one, so that's why I asked.
There's even different types of red ones now. There's little
Yes.
ruffle chips with Talkies now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
try taking them to the snack section at a Walmart.
Oh, no,
Oh,
I
can I have
don't.
this? Can I
I
have
think I
this?
could handle that.
They have similar behaviors, but they just don't know how to handle it, like we talked about. And then also, they still need a shoulder to cry on. They still need somebody to talk to.
Feelings.
They have feelings. People just write them off like, oh, they're teenagers, they know how to deal with it.
Mhm.
They don't. They still have those feelings. They still have those breaking points. So it's really important to remember that they're still a child. Resources. I have reached out to many people in the state of Texas. That all around Texas.
It's early on too.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
For those that are in Zoom, I will be sending you the paperwork via email after this is done. So you'll have it soon.
Did everybody get a copy? So the Way Alliance, they're actually like one of the first people I talked to, because as y'all know, these kids can go everywhere. Everywhere, honestly, in the nation. They take 14 to 23 years old. So they want them whenever they are still in the system, but sometimes that's not possible because they move around so much. But it's a great resource for when they age out. They go through a matching process to where it would be great for them to have a CASA and another person. That's double support. And maybe you can even like build a support team with both of them. But it's only in Aubrey, Texas, which is Dallas area. Their main mission is to build a relationship just like this. And they have relationships. And these are places that take not extended care kids, well, extended care kids and kids that are kind of like group homes, but they're good group homes. They're not just, they'll find a homeless person and it's a bad homeless person to where like they'll rob you. It's going to be a person that has been in foster care before. So I've talked to the Direction 613 and they are amazing. They have a McKinney location and a Denton location, and they're literally both like houses. They take both, so it's co-ed, it's girls and boys, but different houses. I've heard of like Blake's house and Kyle's house. I've never been to either. That is one of my goals, is to go to these houses and try to familiarize myself so like I'll know where these kids are going.
Where, do you know where they are?
They are all in the Dallas area.
They're all in the Dallas area. Okay. If I read it, I've seen that.
Then there's Hands Up, which is literally just in downtown Tyler. It's at a church. The thing is to note with this is that it is Christian. And I know some of our kids don't want to be affiliated with Christian. Completely okay, because everyone has their right. But it's also a great resource. If this kid's like, I want to get involved, I don't know how. Upbring in Austin, San Antonio, and San Marcos. The San Marcos location is when they go to Texas State. It's kind of like their former foster program. They are designed to help more than 1,300 young adults who have aged out of foster care, which is amazing because I know only a few of them that take 100, 200 kids. And they have SIL placements, which is supervised independent living. It's like a dorm with 3-4 different suites, or 3-4 different rooms, and it's all in a suite. And they have a kitchen, so they get to have that community that they probably strive for, because they already have friends in that. The Hay Center in Houston. So when I say I went all over the state of Texas, I really mean it. Try to find somewhere in the major cities. They help with kids that have aged out of foster care. And they help support the transition and room assistance. So furniture is expensive. A chair is expensive. And they really help with that. They help with summer jobs. So I'm pretty sure they help with jobs out of summer as well, but they help you build that connection in summer that will help you in the fall and spring. And they also have a housing program where there's safe free rent. So rent's really expensive right now. They learn to live independently, and they just learn that they do have a safety net at the Hay Center. LifeWorks. So LifeWorks was actually recommended to me through Marlene, who used to work here. And she was like, I really think you should reach out to them, see like what they offer for any Austin kids. And they have 3 core goals. Everyone deserves a home, everyone deserves to work, and everyone deserves a chance to heal. 3 really good core goals. And they provide housing, and they really just provide classes to where they really help these teenagers learn to be adults. Going into colleges, there's UNT. I'll tell you right now, UNT, UTSA, and Texas A&M San Antonio, 3 best colleges I've seen that work with former foster kids. They have programs set up. They help with medical. They help with mental health needs. They have really built a connection with these kids.
Question real quick. Do you know if any of them can have lower requirements? Like I know some of like A&M is hard to get in.
Yeah.
Do they have
UTSA and UTSA is pretty easy to get into because it is an off branch to the University of Texas. And Texas A&M San Antonio is pretty easy to get into as well. But I've talked to UNT, and the UNT person had been a program director of a CASA. So basically an Amy. Nobody has our Amy though. For 10 years in Denton County. And I really talked to her, and she's really wants to be there for these kids. They have about 180. They have about 180 kids, students in this program. They have a lounge area for the kids. They provide, there is a family that helps with their medical and mental health fund of $10,000 every year. So if a kid ran out of prescription and they really need it, they help them with that because they were that former foster kid. And if anybody does want to tour, I do have the direct contact with all of these people. But I really love every single one of them. Anybody have any questions?
Judy says, one of my kiddos with autism just got accepted to UNT.
Wow, that's amazing. Colleges, what we were just talking about. Trade schools. So college isn't always the answer. I have kids that are really good at makeup, and I automatically am like cosmetology school. Because one, they'll make a lot of money in cosmetology school, well, as a cosmetologist. Northeast Texas Community College and Kilgore College are the best in this area for cosmetology school. Northeast Texas Community College is just about 30 minutes north of, I just lost my town, Gilmer? Is that a town over here?
Yeah.
Gilmer's north.
Gilmer. Yes, 30 minutes north of Gilmer. TJC has amazing welding and mechanic program. And then Collin College is in Dallas. I actually went there for my first 2 years, and they have an amazing fire academy. It's a 2-year fire academy.
Collin College has tons of stuff,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a little video.
Making sure I got my audio set up.
I feel like I'm constantly doing this balancing act of like trying to perceive myself outside of my body and trying to be like, oh, do I look professional enough today? Did I say the right things? Am I acting the right way? Because I know that I'm constantly being looked at for like not having the same background as other students. My name is Kaylee Lord, and I entered the foster care system at 15 years old and graduated out of Hill Country Youth Ranch at 17 years old out of the foster care system. I am a second-year master's student in cultural anthropology, and I'm about to graduate this semester. I'm really proud of myself for finishing. Everything's changing so quickly, and I'm trying to find housing. School's kind of been my safety net for a really long time with like getting, being able to get grant money and stuff like that. And so now that I'm like leaving, it's kind of stressful just because I don't have anything job-wise or safety net-wise in that way anymore.
How's your semester going?
It's been long. I'm barely holding on.
I feel that. Everyone comes to these meetings like so stressed. FACES is foster care alumni creating educational success. I mean, the way that trauma works, you have an experience and maybe it's one of powerlessness or not mattering or not being seen. And that gets deeply embedded until you start believing it. And so our students really push past those trauma beliefs. And then also just like being broke college students, you know, not having transportation, not always knowing where their next meal is coming from, where are they gonna live. Basic needs and those higher level cognitive things, I see them push past and figure it out.
I haven't had a guarantor, at this entire time.
So some people are willing to work with you without a guarantor.
Yeah, it sucks, but have to save up enough money for twice the rent for the first month.
Housing insecurity is definitely a challenge for our students. It's really expensive.
I know there's like the supervised independent living program. I've heard questionable things about that, but yeah.
The supervised independent living program, it's very different than being in foster care. If they age out of foster care, which means they turned 18 in the child welfare system, they weren't adopted out of care, they would have to sign what's called a return to care agreement. But I think some young adults don't want to sign that agreement. They turn 18 and they're like, I'm done.
Right here. Second Saturday is our life skills workshop, and they come here for 4 hours and do workshops and cooking and stuff like that. We think it's really important for them to not only, you know, practice some of these life skills, but hear from other people in the community and just expose them to as much as we can.
Eventually you get like more offers.
Exactly. Both of my programs take more funding than what the state provides by a lot. This year I'll probably have to raise a little over $500,000 on top of what the state pays us. So we have capacity for about 10 kids with our budget.
I already know my career, what I want to do. I want to be a child life specialist.
They just need help because of the trauma and things like that. A lot of them developmentally are not 18 even when they age out. I've seen the difficulty obtaining housing. I've seen, you know, that they age out with no driver's license. It's so many barriers before they're even out the door. So we try to remove those barriers and do whatever we can to help them, you know, get on a path so that they can make it.
Okay. I'm still learning to cope with my anger. Okay, thank you for being honest.
I needed a good coping skill when, I guess a while back whenever I first came here. Talking to people, like being more comfortable rather than keeping my guard up type stuff. So yeah.
I wasn't ready for the real world, and honestly, I didn't have the resources that I needed at the moment, and extended foster care gave me the opportunity to, you know, graduate and, you know, get my driver's license and all that good stuff to be prepared to get where I need to be. So
I don't know, I was skeptical about it at first because most of the foster homes I was in were abusive, so I was always like, could I trust this person? Can I trust this person? I had no money or no job or anything, so it was kind of like either be homeless or, you know, take this opportunity and be something, so I kind of just took it.
One struggle is, you know, being on my own and learning how to deal with that, being alone, you know, every day, and, you know, not being able to wake up and say hi, Dad, or good morning, you know, to my family or whatever.
This is a picture of my mom when she was pregnant with me, and my dad and my mom and me as a baby. This photo is important to me because I don't have a lot of baby photos, let alone like photos where both my parents are smiling. My mom had been like on meth when she was a kid. So CPS has always been in my life since day one. It didn't get bad living with my mom until my dad died. And then at that point, she just completely went off the deep end. It was a Wednesday. We saw the cops knocking on the door, the caseworkers were there, and my mom was like screaming at me, like, don't leave, like, don't listen to them. I was taken from my mom's house that night and then put into another high school in another home. And so I just like ended up going to the bathroom, like crying all day, because I was just like, I don't know what to do. I graduated out of Hill Country Youth Ranch, which is a big foster home. My counselor was actually the one who like told me that I could get a tuition waiver and that I should apply to college, and that's the first thing I did. And I got in, so I went for it. My thesis is called From Foster Care to University, an ethnography of academic challenges. The research shows that students who have been in the foster care system have lower GPAs and tend to drop out of classes more. It's great that the state of Texas offers a tuition and fee waiver, but like only 40% of students who have been through the foster care system use it. And a lot of people, even if they can use it, they won't because they have other pressing needs to take care of. Like going to a college course can't, help you find a house. I chose this research because I'm a member of the foster care community. Less than 3% of us graduate with a bachelor's degree, and I want to show them that I'm here and that I'm getting my master's and that I'm here for them and that it's possible.
Master's or bachelor's?
Master's. I'm graduating next week. I'm going to pick up my cap and gown today, and my little brother's coming. My grandparents are coming, and maybe my mom, so I don't know.
Congrats.
Thank you. Congrats.
Yeah, we're disgusting.
We did it. We did it.
Yeah.
It's crazy right now. All right, we're good.
These students have been so pathologized their whole lives with mental health diagnoses, with psychotropic medication, with school failure, just you name it. That's been the narrative. They were pretty tired of that narrative.
Just thinking about like all of the things that I've been through, being in the foster care system, not having any family really to support me. So yeah, it's a big deal for me because I'm just like, I can't believe I did it. Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Are you taking a picture?
There's a saying that we use. It says, "Smooth seas do not good sailors make." They've been through a lot, but I always say the worst is behind them, and they are uniquely suited to be problem solvers in our world.
What do y'all think about that video?
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's inspiring.
It's what I really want for my,
That's our dream.
yeah, it's our dream.
And unfortunately, a lot of these kids have that dream also, but they don't know the steps that it's gonna take to get there.
Yep.
And so they try for a while and they give up.
They think all they gotta do is show up at college and it just happens because they've not had any real experiences.
Yeah.
And more than often, a lot of our kids get just pushed to the next grade.
Yeah, and that's happened big time. You have to, as a CASA, I've had to go to the school and actually fight for these kids to get what the law says the school is supposed to provide them.
Yeah.
Because they don't, and sometimes you don't know about it unless the kid tells you, you know, well, she didn't do that. And the school should know, they're supposed to know, but I think that it's just kind of a.
Pass them along and let them pass.
Yes. Yes. So
Which
they get
doesn't
the,
help them in life.
so they get the money from the state.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help them at all. I mean, when they fail like a final grade and they let them take it until they pass it.
Yeah.
They've learned nothing. So we really have to pay attention to what's going on in the school, just like we do with our own kids.
Yeah. So areas of focus, they have the potential. Every kid does. We just have to make them see it. To tell them their affirmations. You are smart. You are kind. You may have barriers up, but you are those things. Redirection. We have to do that a lot. They might be on this path. And then you gotta kind of shift their gaze a little bit, and they're like, oh, I see it. And they keep going the wrong way. Staying consistent with them. And even when they change their mind 1,000 times, they change it every day on a daily basis. I have a kid like that right now. This is right. I think I want to do something else. I'm like, okay, we can do something else. I'm like, let's go look at that. But talk with them about it. Why do they want to do it? And then get their reasoning and keep following through. Like, I have a kid right now. She wants to go into psychology. She wants to be a psychiatrist to help kids like her. So every single time I visit her, I always ask, you still want to go to Texas Tech? And she's like, yep. I want to go my bachelor's, master's, and PhD. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep holding you to it. You still want to do it with psychology? Yep. So every single month, I'm like, you still want to do it. You still want to do it. So she constantly has that in her mind. Like, I still want to help people like me. I still want to help CPS kids, because she specifically wants to help CPS kids. Listen to them. I cannot stress that enough. They get told by 1,000 people, you need to do this instead. Oh, that's not the right answer. You need to do this. Listen to them and be like, well, what do you think is the right answer? What do you think you could do? And most of the time they'll go on and on. They just can't stop talking because they've never been asked that question. They've never been able to tell somebody. And then you're that constant person just asking them. And then you get to listen to them. You get to listen to their life. You get to listen about everything. And not only listen to them, you get to see them. You get to see them do it, which is a great thing. Does anybody have anything to add over here?
No, I really didn't like that. Smooth sales does not a good sailor mate. I thought that was worthwhile.
Okay, try it. Well, an easy childhood with everything given to them does not a good adult mate.
That's right.
So these kids, on that note, would be pretty good adults. They've been through it all.
So how do we get there? Trust, patience, and relationships. Relationships, the end goal. But it takes the first two to get to the relationship part. Trust takes time, as we all know, even just one of us. Trust takes time. It takes us showing up for each other, being there when they're vulnerable, and understand when no one else will. Even if we don't understand it, and we're like, what did they just tell me? Like, what do I do with this information? Try to understand. Try to understand whether it's a story that they told or something that happened to them. Try to understand it, even if we can't. Patience. They're going to push your buttons, every single one of them, like a Christmas tree. If anybody's ever seen Elf, how he pushed all the buttons in the elevator, I feel like that's some of my teenagers. They will push every single button, but it's going to be to see if you're going to stay or you're going to leave. You're going to leave like everyone else.
It's a test.
I had a teenager on Monday tell me, everyone's left me. You're going to leave me too. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to be right here. And that's when you have to say, like, no, I'm not leaving. Whether it's, with teenagers, you don't have that much time, but even just to show up and call them every single month and just say, how you doing? You doing good? Oh, that happened? Yeah, I heard about it. And if you have that patience, trust will come. And then relationships and goal. But it takes the first two. It's going to take them pushing your button, pushing. It's going to take that trust. A lot of them don't have trust, as we know. And then also to do the things that they will remember forever. Things to remember. I have to tell myself that first one every single morning. We cannot control their actions. As much as we want to, we can't. And it's really hard to remember that. We can't control. I've had several kids run away the day after I visited them. And I'm like, but we can't control their actions. We can't control what they're going to do. And also, typically, it's impulsive. It's typically, I was just bored, or my friends were doing it, so I wanted to too.
I knew I wouldn't get away with it, but I wanted to try.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got a phone for 5 minutes and,
Yeah.
and a friend available.
Yeah. Or someone will come pick them up. Well, who's that someone?
Anybody that, when they got that phone, they got somebody to come pick them up.
Not there yet. You are making a difference even when you feel like you're not. I'm here to say it again. You're making a difference even when you feel like you're not. I've had that talk many times with myself. And I've had to talk to my advocates about it. You're making a difference even when they're pushing your buttons. And you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but you're making a difference. Even just calling them, you're making the whole day, because they got a call from their CASA, the one person that cares about them. Boundaries. What's somebody's boundaries?
Ours or theirs?
Yours.
Oh.
My boundaries is I'm not a physical touch person. I don't really like hugs. With certain people, like sometimes with one of my kids, she always runs up and gives me a hug. I let it, because it's just something that has always been in the 9 months. She's always like, Miss Victoria, and it's nice, but we have to set those boundaries with those kids. It's like, okay, we hugged, let's sit down. Or a boundary like not spending all your money on these kids, because they will run your pocket dry.
There are questions about my personal life.
Okay, yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
And trying to figure me out and my family and all that.
You could also instead of saying all the things, you just say one little snippet. So
Yeah. Just leave it vague and,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I do. I'm just saying that that's a boundary I have
Yeah.
to fight all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a boundary? They have to cut themselves away, like push themselves away. Like mine's gonna be the money. I wanna spend my money on this kid, but I know I can't. I know I wanna give them something, but I gotta set that boundary. And be like, I'm sorry, I can't afford it.
That was the hardest part for me, I think, is wanting to just any little thing they ask for. But in 6 years, you get over that.
Yeah.
Actually, I got over it pretty quick.
Well, it didn't take me the whole 6 years. My pocketbook, my checkbook told me real quick.
Yeah.
Don't take things they say personally.
Yeah. Because teenagers are mean. They'll hit you where it hurts. But they also could have said it out of anger, or they were hurt themselves. So they wanted to hurt you.
And they're testing you.
Yeah.
Again.
The testing is
They're saying if you'll take it and come back again.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they want to, and one of them told me one time, just like, you're going to leave me. Are you going to leave me? Everybody else left me. And every time he gets a new caseworker or a new placement, he asks me that question again. And I promised him that as long as I was well, I would be there for him, because I don't want to promise him I'll always be there, because that could be a lie. You can't.
Yeah.
But he knows that I'm going to tell him the truth no matter what.
Yeah.
And he's accepted that now. But it took, that first 2 or 3 years was rough. But now it's really pretty much smooth sailing, because they know only when the foster mom calls to vent.
Yeah.
One of the boundaries I had to learn is mine, especially one of them, but siblings, they would call and start ordering me after they got comfortable and started trusting me. Then it's a whole other level, a whole other level. Miss Glenda, you need to come pick me up. You need to back, and so I had to. If it started out that way, I would have to say, okay, I'm gonna hang up. And when you want to talk to me, and not order me, I'm not here on your end of your remote control. You need to have a conversation, we can do that, but you'll have to call me back, or just we just have to go quiet. I said, I'm gonna take a few minutes to be quiet, because sometimes they can't call back. I mean, they get a chance to use the phone. So I learned not to do the call back, but I'd say, I'm gonna be quiet here for about 15, 20 seconds. You decide if we're going to continue the conversation or not. Yeah, because can get very demanding. Once they trust you, then they see, oh, I'll just call Miss Glenda and she'll do.
What are the ways you self-care? So personally, I have to go to the gym every morning. It's one of the ways I clear my mind completely and how I start my day. Every morning at like 5:30, I'm at the gym. And I gotta do it. Like I have to weightlift or do the Stairmaster, which is horrible. But it helps me clear my mind and be ready for the day. I go on really long walks at night with my dog. And like in this cold weather, he loves it. I have a Great Pyrenees. He is obsessed with cold weather. Even though I'm bundled up and he's pain really bad, like it's hot. Or even reading a book. I am a big reader. But finding those self-care ways to where you're just relaxed, you're not thinking about them, you're not thinking about anything but yourself. It's really how you're gonna just keep moving and keep fighting for these kids. So what are some of the ways that y'all self-care?
I dig in the dirt. Literally. I used to have a greenhouse even when I was raising my children. And sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was out in my greenhouse digging in the dirt, so I wouldn't hurt one of them. But that's still my
Yeah.
escape.
Because we all need that certain escape where we can just be to ourselves for a second, because we all need it. Or else I would snap someone. So we're the ones at CASA, we believe that every child is adoptable. Whether CPS says, oh, this kid's not adoptable. They are. They're adoptable. We're the ones to be in their corner when everyone else has their back turned. I have a kid right now. Everyone has their back turned. Everyone says this kid has no one because they did it to themselves. No. This kid did not abandon themselves. This kid has a chance. I'm like, and I myself as CASA is going to make people believe it because he's smart, he's kind, he's going to fight for himself, and so am I. We're the ones to believe in them, in the child, every step of the way. When even the child doesn't believe that they believe in themselves. Teens put up a front, and they will hold you at the arm's length. So once the barrier is broken, that unconditional love and that care will just set in. And that's what these teenagers need. They need that love that they're not going to get from a parent or a family member. They're going to get from you. Teenagers are, well, they may be intimidating. They might try to be intimidating. They may have behaviors, but they all need somebody that's going to be in their corner when everything's against them. Questions?
Thank you.
Awesome. Good job.
Yeah.